everyone, Britt Albert here. If this is your first time here, I'm a spiritual transformational life coach. It's my goal for this channel to help you overcome the obstacles that are standing in the way of you living your best and most authentic life. In this video, we're continuing on with our series of the book trilogy, Conversations with God by Neale Donald Walsch. I believe this is the 14th video in this series, so I'm going to go ahead and list the playlist up above, and it'll be at the end of this video as well. That way, if you haven't seen the other episodes, I highly recommend that you go and you check those out as well. In this series, what I like to do is I'll play actual audio clips from the book so that you can hear for yourself and feel what resonates as truth for you. At the end of the video is where I give my take and my opinion on what resonated with me and what my take was on the book. It's very important to me that you hear this for yourself and decide what resonates as truth for you and what does not. If there's anything that you don't agree with, that's fine. My goal is simply to bring this out to everyone so everyone gets a chance to hear and decide for themselves what they think is the truth. So without further ado, I give you Conversations with God.
I have searched for the path to God all my life.
I know you have.
And now, I've found it, and I can't believe it. It feels like I'm sitting here talking to myself.
You are.
That does not seem like what a communication with God would feel like.
You want bells and whistles? I'll see what I can arrange.
You know, don't you, that there are those who will call this a blasphemy, especially if you keep showing up as such a wise guy.
Let me explain something to you. You have this idea that God shows up in only one way in life. That's a very dangerous idea. It stops you from seeing God all over. If you think God looks only one way or sounds only one way or is only one way, you're going to look right past me night and day. You'll spend your whole life looking for God and not finding her because you're looking for a him. I use this as an example. It has been said that if you don't see God in the profane and the profound, you're missing half the story. That is a great truth. God is in the sadness and the laughter, in the bitter and the sweet. There is a divine purpose behind everything, and therefore a divine presence in everything.
Well, I once began writing a book called God is a Salami Sandwich.
That would have been a very good book. I gave you that inspiration. Why didn't you write it?
Well, it felt like blasphemy, or at the very least, horribly irreverent.
You mean wonderfully irreverent. What gave you the idea that God is only reverent? God is the up and the down, the hot and the cold, the left and the right, the reverent and the irreverent. Think you that God cannot laugh? Did you imagine that God doesn't enjoy a good joke? Is it your knowing that God is without humor? I tell you, God invented humor. Must you speak in hushed tones when you speak to me? Are slang words or tough language outside my ken? I tell you, you can speak to me as you would speak with your best friend. Do you think there is a word I haven't heard? A sight I have not seen? A sound I do not know? Is it your thought that I despise some of these, while I love the others? I tell you, I despise nothing. None of it is repulsive to me. It's life, and life is the gift, the unspeakable treasure, the holy of holies. I am life, for I am the stuff life is. Its every aspect has a divine purpose. Nothing exists, nothing, without a reason understood and approved by God.
How can this be? How can this be? What of the evil which has been created by man?
You cannot create a thing, not a thought, an object, an event, no experience of any kind, which is outside of God's plan. For God's plan is for you to create anything, everything, whatever you want. In such freedom lies the experience of God being God. And this is the experience for which I created you, and life itself. Evil is that which you call evil. Yet even that I love, for it is only through that which you call evil that you can know good. Only through that which you call the work of the devil that you can know and do the work of God. I do not love hot more than I love cold, high more than low, left more than right. It's all relative. It is all part of what is. I do not love good more than I love bad. Hitler went to heaven. When you understand this, you will understand God.
But I have been raised to believe that good and bad do exist, that right and wrong are opposed, that some things are just not okay, not all right, not acceptable in the sight of God.
Everything is acceptable in the sight of God, for how can God not accept that which is? To reject a thing is to deny that it exists. To say that it is not okay is to say that it is not a part of me, and that's impossible. Yet, hold to your beliefs and stay true to your values, for these are the values of your parents, of your parents' parents, of your friends, and of your society. They form the structure of your life, and to lose them would be to unravel the fabric of your experience. Still, examine them one by one. Review them piece by piece. Do not dismantle the house, but look at each brick and replace those which appear broken, which no longer support the structure. Your ideas about right and wrong are just that, ideas. They are the thoughts which form the shape and create the substance of who you are. There would be only one reason to change any of these, only one purpose in making an alteration, if you are not happy with who you are. Only you can know if you are happy. Only you can say of your life, "This is my creation in which I am well pleased." If your values serve you, hold to them, argue for them, fight to defend them. Yet seek to fight in a way which harms no one. Harm is not a necessary ingredient in healing.
You know, you say hold to your values. At the same time, you say our values are all wrong. Help me with this.
I have not said your values are wrong, but neither are they right. They're simply judgments, assessments, decisions. For the most part, they are decisions made not by you, but by someone else. Your parents, perhaps, your religion, your teachers, historians, politicians. Very few of the value judgments you have incorporated into your truth are judgments you yourself have made based on your own experience. Yet experience is what you came here for, and out of your experience were you to create yourself. You have created yourself out of the experience of others. If there were such a thing as sin, this would be it. To allow yourself to become what you are because of the experience of others. This is the sin you have committed, all of you. You do not await your own experience. You accept the experience of others as gospel, literally. And then when you encounter the actual experience for the first time, you overlay what you think you already know onto the encounter. If you did not do this, you might have a wholly different experience, one that might render your original teacher or source wrong. In most cases, you don't want to make your parents, your schools, your religions, your traditions, your holy scriptures wrong, so you deny your own experience in favor of what you have been told to think. Nowhere can this be more profoundly illustrated than in your treatment of human sexuality. Everyone knows that the sexual experience can be the single most loving, most exciting, most powerful, most exhilarating, most renewing, most energizing, most affirming, most intimate, most uniting, most recreative physical experience of which humans are capable. Having discovered this experientially, you have chosen to accept instead the prior judgments, opinions, and ideas about sex promulgated by others, all of whom have a vested interest in how you think. These opinions, judgments, and ideas have run directly contradictory to your own experience. Yet because you are loath to make your teachers wrong, you convince yourself it must be your experience that is wrong. The result is that you have betrayed your highest truth about this subject, with devastating results. You have done the same thing with money. Every time in your life that you have had lots and lots of money, you felt great. You felt great receiving it, and you felt great spending it. There was nothing bad about it, nothing evil, nothing inherently wrong. Yet you have so deeply ingrained within you the teachings of others on this subject that you have rejected your experience in favor of truth. Having adopted this truth as your own, you have formed thoughts around it, thoughts which are creative. You have thus created a personal reality about money which pushes it away from you. For why would you seek to attract that which is not good? Amazingly, you have created the same contradiction around God. Everything your heart experiences about God tells you that God is good. Everything your teachers teach you about God tells you God is bad. Your heart tells you God is to be loved without fear. Your teachers tell you God is to be feared, for he is a vengeful God. You are to live in fear of God's wrath, they say. You are to tremble in his presence. Your whole life through, you are to fear the judgment of the Lord, for the Lord is just, you are told. And God knows you will be in trouble when you confront the terrible justice of the Lord. You are therefore to be obedient to God's commands, or else. Above all, you are not to ask such logical questions as, if God wanted strict obedience to his laws, why did he create the possibility of those laws being violated? Your teachers tell you, because God wanted you to have free choice. Yet what kind of choice is free when to choose one thing over the other brings condemnation? How is free will free when it is not your will but someone else's which must be done? Those who teach you this would make a hypocrite of God. You are told that God is forgiveness and compassion. Yet if you do not ask for this forgiveness in the right way, if you do not come to God properly, your plea will not be heard. Your cry will go unheeded. Even this would not be so bad if there were only one proper way. But there are as many proper ways being taught as there are teachers to teach them. Most of you, therefore, spend the bulk of your adult life searching for the right way to worship, to obey, and to serve God. The irony of all this is that I do not want your worship. I do not need your obedience. And it is not necessary for you to serve me. These behaviors are the behaviors historically demanded of their subjects by monarchs, usually egomaniacal, insecure, tyrannical monarchs at that. They're not godly demands in any sense, and it seems remarkable that the world hasn't by now concluded that the demands are counterfeit, having nothing to do with the needs or desires of deity. Deity has no needs. All that is exactly that. All that is. It therefore wants or lacks nothing by definition. If you choose to believe in a God who somehow needs something and has such hurt feelings if he doesn't get it that he punishes those from whom he expected to receive it, then you choose to believe in a God much smaller than I am. You truly are children of a lesser God. No, my children, please let me assure you again that I am without needs. I require nothing. This does not mean I am without desires. Desires and needs are not the same thing, although many of you have made them so in your present lifetime. Desire is the beginning of all creation. It is first thought. It is a grand feeling within the soul. It is God choosing what next to create. And what is God's desire? I desire first to know and experience myself in all my glory, to know who I am. Before I invented you and all the worlds of the universe, it was impossible for me to do so. Second, I desire that you shall know and experience who you really are through the power I have given you to create and experience yourself in whatever way you choose. Third, I desire for the whole life process to be an experience of constant joy, continuous creation, never-ending expansion, and total fulfillment in each moment of now. I have established a perfect system whereby these desires may be realized. They are being realized now, in this very moment. The only difference between you and me is that I know this. In the moment of your total knowing, which moment could come upon you at any time, you too will feel as I do always, totally joyful, loving, accepting, blessing, and grateful. These are the 5 attitudes of God. And before we are through with this dialogue, I will show you how the application of these attitudes in your life now can and will bring you to godliness. All of this is a very long answer to a very short question. Yes, hold to your values, so long as you experience that they serve you. Yet look to see whether the values you serve with your thoughts, words, and actions bring to the space of your experience the highest and best idea you ever had about you.
So this is probably one of the most polarizing passages in the whole book. There are a couple other places that are going to be just as polarizing, but this is definitely up there on the list. I don't know if you picked up on it, but when I first listened to this book, my ears absolutely perked up when God said that Hitler went to heaven, and then totally skimmed past that and didn't go back to it. And I was like, wait, what? And immediately it felt wrong. And immediately I wanted to get angry. But once I continued to listen to the rest of the passage, and then I re-listened to it, and I re-listened to it again, it started to sink in with me, and I asked myself a question. What kind of God do I really want to exist? And what kind of God do I believe, do I feel within my heart? The innate that is within me, my intuition, if you will. What do I feel that God really is? Do I believe that God is judgment, or do I believe that God is love? There are some whom I believe that God is both. That's fine for you. That doesn't serve me. There are too many questions that are left unanswered. And I just personally struggle with that kind of concept. If God is the perfect parent, and my parents were imperfect, yet my parents would not condemn me to death if I decided that I was gay. Maybe they would support it, maybe they wouldn't, I don't know. But I know they wouldn't condemn me to death. If I did something heinous and I murdered people, there's a high probability that my family would cut me off. They may even sit there if I had the death penalty. They may think I deserve it, they may not. But that's imperfect parents, right? So why would a perfect parent be so keen to condemn when the choice of free will is not actually free? It's still the will of God, if that were God's will. Now, there's a very important distinction before you get triggered. And if you're triggered, that's totally fine. I completely understand. I was triggered. Believe me, I was triggered. But what is the very next thing that God says? Hold fast to your beliefs. Because those are the beliefs of your culture. Those are the beliefs of your family, your religion. They're what makes you you. Whatever you think is right, fight for that. But you don't need to use violence in order to fight. It doesn't serve anybody. Violence does not aid in healing. But you can stand up for what you believe in, and you can demand justice. You can demand what's right. You don't dismantle the house, but you repair it brick by brick as they start to crumble. We're going to use the house analogy. If your house is your entire belief system, and there's a brick that is at the foundation, and that brick is crumbling because it does not serve you anymore. It's not right for what we believe in our current times. Back in the day, it used to not be okay to wear clothes of different materials that were mixed. We've gotten over that now. Can we agree on that? That's a brick that you can examine, and you can toss it and replace it with something new. And that something new is, this shirt probably has 2 or 3 different kinds of materials in it, and I do not feel condemned. I do not feel that I'm being judged, and this is the shirt that I'm wearing today. That's the brick that I'm replacing in the spot of the one that said I cannot wear shirts of multiple different kinds of fabrics. Do you see what I'm saying? What God is telling you to do is to question those beliefs. Look at them. Ask yourself, does this belief come from me and my own personal experience? Am I trusting myself, or do I believe that my instinct is going to lead me astray? Do I believe that I cannot trust myself with the truth of my own soul? If the fear of damnation is so strong, why are you placing your soul in the hands of what others say is true? At the very least, do your own research. And I mean no disrespect to anybody who goes to church or is in any religion. And you know, this series is called Conversations with God because God is speaking to somebody with a Christian background. If this was Conversations with Allah, it would be somebody who had a Muslim background. You know, it doesn't matter the form that source comes in, spirit, God, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same. I am Brittany to my family. I am Britta to y'all. I am mom to my kids. I have many different nicknames, and none of them offend me, and none of them is more me than another one. So one of the questions that I want to pose to you is, do you believe that God is love? And are there limitations to that love? And if there are limitations to that love, what are they? Based on your own experiences. And then I want you to question that. Are your own experiences, or what you're projecting onto God of judgment, are they coming from your own personal judgment? Are they coming from what others have taught you? Do you agree with those judgments and those beliefs? And if you do, keep them. Don't dismantle the house just to dismantle the house. Look at these things and decide for yourself what resonates with you and what is truth. Personally, for me, I believe that God is love. And if that means that Hitler went to heaven because God is that much love, then I have to accept that as truth, no matter my feelings about it. And can that be okay? Can that be enough? Can I accept that God's love is so great, beyond any comprehension that I could have, that Hitler would go to heaven? I can. What about you? Guys, I love you so much. If this is your first time here, please don't forget to subscribe. And if you think of anybody who needs to hear this message, please share this video with them. And if you got something from this video, please give it a thumbs up. I love you guys so much, and I will see you next time.